started 20 years ago, and we started in Hong Kong. And the reason why we started it is a little bit to do with myself as a Hong Kong person, as somebody who was born in Hong Kong, educated partly in Hong Kong, and then partly overseas as well. I consider my kind of identity sort of a dual identity. I'm very much a Hong Kong person, but because I was educated in the UK as well.
When did you go to UK?
I went to UK when I was 14. I didn't come back until I was 25. So I spent the moment I came back, I almost spent half my time in Hong Kong, half my time outside of Hong Kong, and I felt that my time outside of Hong Kong made me realize that Hong Kong is actually a very special place. It has a lot of special identities. It's very different from the rest of the world, and I just find it really a huge source of inspiration for design. As a designer, and I'm always surprised why there aren't more designers or brands that take the inspiration from Hong Kong, especially local Hong Kong brands. So yeah, that was my inspiration for starting the company, to do something that would take things or characteristics about Hong Kong and make it into a series of products, build it into a brand.
So when you were in UK, what were you doing?
I studied architecture in the UK. Yeah. Okay.
Which school?
Sheffield University. Yes. So it's strange. A lot of people think that I was trained as an architect, and yet I'm not really doing architecture. But actually, architecture is, a lot of people forget that architecture is also design. You know. So it's about functionality. It's about aesthetics. It's about economy, use of material. So it is to do with design. So it's just that the materials are different. I'm making clothes, so I'm using fabrics. I'm making furniture, so I'm using wood. It's just the materials that are different. But the discipline is very similar. So I still consider myself an architect in a way.
Yeah. So when was the time you opened so you started business by opening a store, or?
Yeah, we started a business by opening a store in the outskirts of Hong Kong, because back then the rents were cheap.
Where? In which place?
In Ap Lei Zhou, which is
okay.
That's where we first started. And when we stabilized, we moved into the more kind of central locations. And now we have 6 stores.
Tell me more about your first store, because the first one is always
well,
special.
the first store was very experimental. We weren't sure if this idea of selling local culture to locals would work. People were very skeptical, because a lot of people think that Hong Kong people like foreign things. That's why a lot of Hong Kong brands, when they start, they pretend as if they're not from Hong Kong. They have fancy Western names. So the fact that we called ourselves G.O.D, which is a very colloquial Hong Kong, a lot of people questioned if that would work, because we are being very honest that we are a Hong Kong brand, And so when we first started, it was a little bit experimental. We weren't sure if selling Hong Kong people, the Hong Kong brand and Hong Kong aesthetics would work. So the very early versions of what we do were sort of like this, but not as maybe not as strong. The style wasn't coming through as strong, and it was only in time that we developed the confidence to have this sense of aesthetics. So I think nowadays you can see from our prints and from our product range a sense of G.O.D style. But in the beginning, we weren't so confident of the style, and we were sort of trying different things out, as it were.
So which year was that?
96.
96. So at first, it was like you find some friends to do the business with you? Or?
Yeah. It's a very, the G.O.D is very much a collaboration, so it's between me and my partner. I'm the designer. Well, we have other friends that are doing marketing and accounts and things like that. But basically speaking, G.O.D consists of me and my partner and Benjamin Lau, and he does more the business side, and what I do is the visual direction, the artistic direction, and also to do with the more the abstract things, you know, the long-term vision of the company, and also I'm the front man of the brand as well, because whenever we get interviews or media interest, it's very much to do with design or the vision of the company. So I'm the one that sees the press, but Benjamin's the one that makes the numbers work, you know. So he's the yeah, because the financials and numbers very much contradict with the artistic, the abstract side of the business as well. So it's for us, it was necessary for us to have a separation of the two. Yeah.
So at first, like the store only sell what you design or other brands also?
At the moment, we are selling mostly our in-house products, which is things that either I have designed or I have personally selected. But we also have a small range of products that are designed by other designers, or you know, or similar Hong Kong designers that share our sense of vision. We very much like to be a more sort of inclusive kind of company, so we would like to work and collaborate with like-minded people, our friends.
You just mentioned like now we can feel the G.O.D style in the store, in every store. So what would you describe this G.O.D style?
I think the G.O.D style, in essence, is a Chinese style or Hong Kong style, but updated or given a modern twist. I see that in Hong Kong and in China we have a lot of traditions, but a lot of these traditions remain just as traditions. They're not updated. But I think one thing that I was very inspired by when I was living in the West is this sense of cultural evolution. You know, you take traditions and you add in contemporary elements and style, and as a result, you have something that is both old and new at the same time. And if you have every generation doing that, then you have an evolution of a tradition. And I think this is something that's new to Hong Kong people. I think in Hong Kong, when something's old, it's thrown away and completely started from zero, from nothing. And I think now that we have accumulated maybe 100 or so years of history as a city, it's time to rethink that. It's time, I think, to try and salvage some of our heritage, some of our history, and see if we can pass it on to future generations by making it modern, appealing to the next generation.
So when you and your partner opened the first store, you use your own savings or you take a small loan from the bank?
Yeah, well, basically, it's the two of us, and we've taken our family savings, and we've done it. Of course, we have family support as well.
Yeah.
But because we started in a very far-off location, we managed to control our costs. We also have a lot of supporters as well. You know, even our property. A lot of our early landlords, they were very supportive of what we do, because what we do was very different. You know, it gave their property something, a special image, something different. So we benefited from being quite, we benefited from having a unique image of our own.
And who is our customer? Who is our targeted customer?
Yeah, that's a question that I'm often asked, and very difficult to answer, because there is, I don't think there's such a thing as a typical G.O.D customer. A lot of people would say that, oh, our customers must be, must be tourists, because I think a lot of tourists, when they come to Hong Kong, they find it difficult to find things that are unique to Hong Kong. You know, Hong Kong has a lot of shops, but a lot of these shops also exist in other parts of the world. So it's very difficult for visitors to Hong Kong to find something that's trendy, that's unique to Hong Kong, that they could take away as a present or a gift. So of course we appeal to tourists, yes. But we also have a lot of locals too, you know. I think, and they're not necessarily of a particular age, because you can say that, oh, a lot of our products are to do with old Hong Kong, like for example, retro. So we must appeal to the older folks of Hong Kong, you know,
but
those that are. But not all old folks like to remember the old days, you know. So, yes, some. but then we also have a lot of youngsters as well, because I think young people find our things very trendy. They
Yeah.
like our sense of humor. It's very naughty, so they can also identify with that. What I can say is that we are a brand that really divides opinion, because I think we have a very strong image, and we appeal to those who like our attitude. It's more a case of attitude. It's not about pricing. It's not about it's not just about fashion sense. It's about the sense of attitude. I think, and these people can be of different gender, different income groups, different race. So I think that is what makes our brand quite special, is that we're not just selling a range of products, we're selling an attitude. In a way, I guess you have brands like Levi's jeans, for example. Jeans is worn by people across across different class and cultural barriers. Or you have like Swatch, the watch brand Swatch, which I like. I'm wearing a Swatch watch. Swatch is a brand that it's not about being cheap. It's about the style. It's about, so you have different types of people wearing it, and it's not possible to just isolate one particular type of people. It's kind of like a cult brand.
I'm very curious about I've bought things from G.O.D.
Thank you.
Like it reminds me of my childhood. It's like these
Oh,
old
yes.
newspapers
Yeah.
and some old things. I get a sense of humor, but I also get the memories. I want to know what inspired you, because you left Hong Kong at such a young age. How do you make your product to carry on those memories?
I often start from something that is old, like a newspaper print, because as a child I have memory of this product. But because I was away from Hong Kong, away from this product for a long time, when I saw this product again after my return, it suddenly gave me this new look. It's as if I haven't seen this old friend for a very long time. I've forgotten about the old friend. And when I see this old friend again, it's like something that is both familiar and strange at the same time. And I like this feeling. This is what I try to recreate, because it's a, how shall I put it? There's a feeling of intimacy, because this is something that you know for a long time. But I don't want to just reproduce it. I want to give it a twist.
Yeah.
So, which is why I take a newspaper, but I print it onto a cushion, because traditionally you would never see a newspaper on a cushion.
Yeah.
So it's both familiar and strange at the same time. Yeah. And if you can read the Chinese, you would see that the wording is different. There's a lot of humor inside. This is also something I really like, because I think in Hong Kong we have a certain sense of humor, which is also very intimate, to fellow Hong Kong people. This is, I think, very important for my products as well. It is what makes people really like my products, because of the sense of humor, because it makes them happy, it makes them laugh.
You mentioned we now have 6 stores, right?
Yes.
Across Hong Kong.
Yeah.
What is your future plans?
I would love to be able to take my story overseas, because I think the world is really looking forward to more products from this part of the world, from China. I think this part of the world, including China and Hong Kong, we're growing financially very fast. We're becoming very important financial players in the world. But I think hand in hand would be our sense of culture. I think there would be an appetite for increased Chinese and Hong Kong culture in the world. So I would like to be able to play a part in that and help fill that need. There's been inquiries from even London and Europe for us to open in those places. But I mean, at the end of the day, we are still just a private company, and we don't have the means or the people to expand too far just yet. But for example, we've just opened in Taiwan. We have already 4 shops in Taiwan, and it's a great market for us because Taiwanese and Hong Kong people, we share a lot of history as well.
Yeah.
You know, the language and all that. So and I would love to take it to China too.
You have any specific plan to take it to
I don't have
China?
any plans, but if we find the right partner, people that understands what we're doing and willing to work with us, then yes, we would love to do it. But we don't have the pressure because we're a private company. We don't have the pressure to just expand for the sake of expanding. You know, but if we meet the right people or the right investors, yes, we can do it. And I think there is the possibility, definitely.
I want to know more. What is your business philosophy? What do you personally want to achieve through this business?
Well, I hope that it's more than just a business. I hope that the money-making part is important because it will enable us to sustain and keep on going. But I hope that what we do has meaning and is making a contribution to our community. I'm helping myself as well as helping my community in a way because I think what we need in Hong Kong is to build pride in being who we are, and doing what I do help myself as well because I feel that when I show my friends from overseas what I'm doing, I feel proud of my heritage, of my being Chinese. So, and in doing this, I feel that I'm also helping my community.
That's great. And from an entrepreneur to now a business leader, how you keep your staff, your employees motivated?
That's a very good question, and it's a very difficult one too. I often ask myself, but when I ask myself, how do I keep myself motivated? And for me, the most rewarding or fulfilling thing that I get out of my business is to see my dream happen. And I try to allow my staff or my colleagues to enable some of their concepts to be developed into the final product. So whenever we have something like a new project or maybe a meeting about product development, I try to ask as many opinions as possible or ask them to contribute their point of view and incorporate their point of view into the final product so that the final product contains, in a way, the DNA, you know, of as many people as possible. And I feel that when people feel that the end product has a part of them in it, they feel a sense of pride and they still feel a sense of fulfillment as well. And I think that really gets them motivated.
Great, that's a great answer. I want to know, currently, how many people do we have in the company?
We have about 80 people.
80.
Yeah.
That's great. And so when you started business, you were like 25, is it?
Yeah.
25.
Yeah.
So did you find it very hard to start a business as a young people in Hong Kong?
I guess it is, and I think it's getting increasingly difficult because as everybody knows, you know, the startup costs in Hong Kong is getting higher and higher. You know, to rent a location like this is very expensive, and it's getting more and more expensive. So I wish we could do something about that. I don't have the answer for that, of course, but I think that is the main thing that's keeping people from starting new businesses. The startup costs in Hong Kong is very, very high. Hong Kong is a global city of very high living standards. You know? So I think that's not a good thing. I think that needs to be in control. Because I think a lot of startups, a lot of business, when they start, they also fail. You know, the failure rate is very high. But I think we need to reduce the cost of failure in a way by making things more accessible. Otherwise, there will be no innovation. You know, because if the costs are very high, then people will always take lower risks and do safe things, and safe things are by definition, not innovative. I think if we can make Hong Kong into a place where people are willing to take more risks and suffer less from failure, then I think Hong Kong could be a more innovative city.
I want to know, do you think Hong Kong is still a good place for young people to start a business, apart from the difficult part? And yeah.
I think certain sectors of the business, because I think Hong Kong is known for certain things and not known for certain things, or actually not good for certain other things, then I think in certain parts of the sector, yes, Hong Kong, there's still potential for people starting their businesses here, yes. But only in certain sectors, not every sector.
Like which sectors?
Well, I think creative sector
Creative.
is good and bad at the same time. I think the government has a huge intention or ambition to turn the creative industries into a significant economic contributor to the society. So it's good that the government has that intention. But traditionally, Hong Kong has not been known as a creative city. So it would be an uphill battle to convince the world that Hong Kong is such, you know. And I think our education system is still not fully developed to cater for grooming the next generation of creative people. I also don't feel that the society itself is very used to the idea of supporting local talent. I think Hong Kong people have a tendency to support international brands and international designers, but not necessarily offering favor to local people. You know, in fact, we even because of maybe our colonial past, we tend to see things that are local to be inferior, which is not fair. You know,
Yeah.
so I think it's a challenge. It's a challenge, but I think the situation can only improve though. So I'm optimistic for the future, but right now there's still a lot of obstacles to overcome.
From your own experience, do you have any suggestions for youngsters in Hong Kong who want to start a business? Did you make any mistake like you would suggest them to avoid?
I guess to really do something that doesn't exist. I mean, this is something very personal to me. I believe in doing something that doesn't exist, bringing into the world something new, as opposed to seeing a business model that works, seeing somebody else succeeding in something and wanting to emulate or copy what that person already does. I think a lot of people are tempted to do that. Whereas if I start a business, I would start it because it doesn't exist. You know, I'm looking for something myself. I would make it very personal. You know, like for example, I'm looking for a particular service, and I'm very frustrated that I can't get it, no matter where I find, where I go, I can't find it. So I think, oh, well, if it doesn't exist, then there could be a need. And the fact that I need it myself means that there is this need. And for that, I would start the service or start the business. I would advise people who start a business to really question their business model. You know, is it giving this world something new? Because only if you can do something that is unique, would you have a real selling point? Would people go to you for something unique? So yeah. And
what kind of mistakes have you made?
Well, sometimes I feel that I'm overconfident. Sometimes I feel that, this particular thing was very popular with my customers, so the next time round I double my production. I think that, this is, you know, since it was so successful the last time, I could make a lot of money by making more, and sometimes it wouldn't. I mean, actually, most of the time it wouldn't work. My customers are very unpredictable.
Unpredictable.
Yeah. So I think even after 20 years in the business, I fail in a lot of my predictions. I am always very surprised, by results. I think the important thing is, as long as my successes exceed my failures, it's okay. I think it's okay to fail as long as you succeed more than you fail, because it's impossible to avoid failure, and in many ways the failures actually help you learn and increase the success. So I'm not afraid of failure. I think it has to be calculated into the end effect. I think it's important to experiment and do new things, and take risks, and that's how you move ahead.
Great. This is my final question. It's like you are now is a very busy man, business leader. So, but you're also still a designer. So how you keep a balanced life? So you can. Where do you find the inspiration?
I try to, even though I have experience of 20 years, I still try to approach a lot of my work from the point of view of a novice or amateur, because the world is always changing. I think it's very dangerous to be too experienced. And I also like to work with young people as well, inexperienced people, and young designers, because they see the world in an unprejudiced kind of way, and the future world belongs to them. So in a way to keep myself fresh is to work a lot with younger people, the next generation, and hopefully pass on the baton to them in the future.
That's great. That's all, I think. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much.
That was very enjoyable.